My name is Dallas Owen, and this is my story regarding COVID. Initially, with COVID, I always thought, it's just one of those diseases that the news is sharing. I know it was dangerous, and I know it was it was out there. And I thought, this is just going to be something related to like swine flu, or when they had anthrax and all the other diseases that were out there. Ebola was another one. Just thinking it's not that big of a deal. I know it's dangerous. I know it's out there, but I am probably going to be okay. Well, I always wear my mask, because there's a lot of areas around that require you wearing a mask, and it's to the benefit of not just your health, but to other people's health. And as I was going around greeting people, when I got home, that was like my safe place. I wasn't wearing my mask, and that turns out to be where I more than likely contracted COVID. Thankfully, with COVID though, my symptoms very minimal. I only ended up finding out I had COVID because I was concerned that my children were perhaps had COVID as they were ill, and so when I took them in, they had strep. Still not good, but it's not COVID. And so then I was like, well, alrighty, I'll be on my way. And they're like, well, do you want to get tested for COVID? I was like, sure, why not? And then, one thing led to another. Turns out I came back positive. And instantly, it was kind of that quick impact there, because then I was like, man, how many people did I come in contact with that could potentially be endangered? And thankfully, I almost always wear my mask. And so the threat was minimized, and they reduced it to how many people I was around with 15-minute intervals. And, thankfully, I did not spread that to anybody. And so the symptoms, I had a cough, but I have asthma, allergies, and suffer from secondhand smoking. So a cough was nothing new to me. And so I had the cough. I didn't have any fever, but I did develop insomnia, and I did have really bad leg aches. I got excited for a minute thinking I was having growing pains, but I was wrong. And then yeah, it was just the aches were the biggest one. And then but the worst part of it is that I had to go into isolation from my wife and family. And as I said earlier, they had strep throat. And so my wife, having to take care of a set of twins while missing work because I had COVID, and I was in isolation for 12 days. And it was kind of a choice, like, do I isolate for 12 days and get this done and over with as fast as I can? Or do I potentially engage with my family for 2 to 3 weeks where they potentially could get it, and then their symptoms would grow worse? So I went and opted for the 12 days, where, I went in my little Harry Potter closet for a while, and, had my wife bring me food and whatnot. And then everywhere, if I happened to go out, I had a can of air spray kind of following me as I went. And then, but every day, I was just kind of thinking to myself, I felt really bad and guilty in a sense, because, my wife had to pick up these extra duties because, I let my guard down in one instance, and I just so happened to get sick. And so she had to do a lot of the extra work around the house and everything like that. And so with the COVID, a lot of people are suffering, but it kind of had a mental illness impact on me there for a while, because I had a lot of guilt, and it may have even been borderline depression. Then again, I was also lacking a lot of sleep from insomnia. So it's just like, the mental health case of all this, because not only are you having anxiety about whether or not you're going to catch COVID, but you are also, if you were to get it, feeling all that guilt, and some might even call it shame of having the COVID, and what happens if you did spread it to your loved ones. And so that's where, thankfully, it all went down 12 days. And then I went to work the following Monday. But the big thing about it all was just like, let the guard down once, and it got to me, and then had an impact on my family, because I knew that my wife was very much stressed, and she has anxiety, and so it really got to her. And then the kids always every morning would be knocking on my Harry Potter door, saying, "Daddy, can we come in?" And I can't let them in, or I can't embrace my children, because the potential of spreading it to them was very great. And so And then my grandmother lived in a house too, and so she went to stay at her sister's, and so she's high risk. And if something were to happen to my grandmother, I mean, I would have been devastated. I would have felt so guilty about that. I had a lot of family support. Everyone was very helpful, supportive, so I was very grateful for that. So the mullein tea, for those unfamiliar, it kind of looks like a furry leaf. It really helps with especially breathing problems, like clearing up congestion in the lungs. And so my mother brought me over some leaves, and me being me thought tea is tea, so I tried doing it like regular tea, not knowing that you had to malt down the mullein tea until it's like a syrup. So it did. It cleared up my sinuses and my congestion that I had pretty good. I mean, I still got the codeine cough syrup that the IHS offered, and then that was still pretty good. But yeah, the mullein tea was actually very good. Yeah, I mean, when it comes from like a family member, it was really hard to still keep your guard up. And so I do keep a mask in my vehicle at all times in the event I do forget. And then I always wear it around the workplace anyways. And so all in all, we just wear a mask. And even if you're home and you feel like it's your safe place, if somebody who isn't in your immediate family comes about, it's highly recommended that you still wear the mask, because just to get a lot of rest, follow the recommendations that are given to you when you get diagnosed initially. And a lot of times too, you just gotta make sure you get sleep, stay on top of your symptoms. So make sure you get a lot more fluids in you. Make sure you're drinking your water. Make sure you're getting lots of rest. And also don't forget to shower. I hear a lot of people not showering because they're scared to get their loved one sick, but you're spreading those germs everywhere you go if you don't shower. So make sure to keep up on your personal hygiene. And then also some other things, again, just wear the mask. It's not hard, I promise.